This video is brought to you by Skillshare. Click the link in the description for up to 2 free months of valuable education. Mulan was one of the last installments of the Disney Renaissance. It gave us a small glimpse into an extremely prominent figure in Chinese folklore. For people like myself, it was one of the few, if not the only, stories we ever heard from China. Do a quick Google search, and you'll find storytellers told the story of Mulan on film, stage, and in writing for millennia. As part of the, I'm going to go with interesting Disney live-action reboots, we will be seeing a live-action Disney Mulan in 2020. I won't lie, I'm no expert on Chinese history, so I want to find out. Was Mulan real? Is she some sort of Joan of Arc figure? Or is this just an example of a mythological figure? Well, let's get the clickbait part out of the way first. Hua Mulan was not real. The first written record we know of about Mulan was in a song called The Ballad of Mulan. It came from a book called The Musical Records of Old and New, penned in the 6th century CE. But we only know about this through a surviving anthology made in the 11th or 12th century. The title of the text is the Music Bureau collection. The author, Guo Maoqin, refers to the earlier book, but we aren't sure if it's a direct copy. Either way, the story of Mulan existed as a simple poem all the way until the late Ming Dynasty. Author Chu Wei converted the poem into a play. It had the catchy title, The Heroine Mulan Goes to War in Her Father's Place. Something got lost in translation there. This play became the definitive version of the Mulan story. It elevated to a special place in Chinese folklore, to the point where now it's considered an essential part of Chinese culture. People have produced many different versions of the Mulan story, but mashing them all together, here's the general plot we see from the 12th century onwards. Yeah, friends, we're doing story time. Mulan discovers war is coming to China against quote-unquote the invaders. They never specify who the invaders are. The emperor drafts one male from every family to serve in the army. Mulan is distraught. Her father is too old to go to war, and her brother is too young to serve. For some perplexing reason in the Disney movie, her brother is a dog. Mulan's father trained her in soldiering activities such as martial arts and sword fighting. So, Mulan disguised herself as a man to enter in her father's stead. Over the next decade, Mulan becomes a hero of the battlefield, without anyone finding out she's a woman. After several daring heroics, she rises in the ranks to general. She earns the loyalty of her men and gains notoriety for being an expert at military strategy. After the war, the emperor meets with Mulan and her soldiers to give them an award. He offers her a position of a high royal official, but she declines it. Mulan insists that all she wants is a camel to go home to her family. Only then she reveals herself as a woman to her men, who respond with amazement. She returns to her family, a national hero. Hey friends, I want to keep giving this channel the time it deserves to put out great stories from our past, but I also enjoy luxuries like paying rent and eating food, so I want to thank this video sponsor, Skillshare. Skillshare is a learning community with thousands of classes to improve your marketable skills. Since the last video I did with Skillshare, I've learned quite a bit. Premium membership gets you unlimited access to high-quality classes from experts working in their fields. Subjects range all over the place. Skillshare has tons of courses that have made me a better filmmaker. That Daniel Scott course I mentioned did a whole lot to develop my skills. It turns out he's got courses on all the Adobe products. It's also pretty light on the pocketbook, $10 a month. Minuscule compared to many college courses. It's even cheaper than other websites doing the same thing. I'd also argue that they're way higher quality classes too. If you want to check it out, Skillshare has given me a promo link. The first 500 people who sign up via this link, which you can find in the description, get 2 free months. And when you sign up, you help me tremendously. Thank you, Skillshare, for helping me make Step Back possible. The story is pretty robust in Chinese folklore, probably because it shows virtues that show up again and again in Chinese culture. Mulan is a symbol of both patriotism towards the state and loyalty towards her father. The attempt to balance your loyalty towards your family and your state is at the core of the story, and Mulan excels at both. And this story is compelling. Artists have adapted it to stage and film many times, and more on the way. For this, I'm going to call in a better pop culture expert than myself. I want you all to welcome to the channel Scott from the channel NerdSync.
Hey, thanks, Tristan. My name is Scott. Normally, I cover superheroes and comic book stuff over on my channel, and normally I have like a whole set full of comic books and cool stuff. But Not today. Mulan was hands down my favorite Disney movie growing up as a kid. No joke, before I was going to record this part, I listened to Make a Man Out of You like 4 times. Mysterious as the dark side of the moon. So needless to say, I'm very excited to talk about this film. The story of Mulan has been converted to various media over the centuries, but how did we go from a Chinese folktale to a Disney movie starring Eddie Murphy as a pet dragon? Well, Mulan, the movie of many millennials' childhood memories, is not even close to the first film adaptation that we got. There have been Mulan movies since the silent film era. There was even a case where 2 Mulan films were released within a year of each other in China in the 1920s. Heck, Disney's Mulan wasn't even the only Mulan animated film to come out in the year 1998. There was this kind of perplexing straight-to-VHS one where Mulan is a caterpillar? Cool. Cool. But how did the House of Mouse end up telling this Chinese story to a Western audience? Well, it all began in the late 80s when Disney set up an animation studio in Florida. After helping animate huge Disney successes like Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, and The Lion King, they were allowed to make their own film. They decided to option a bunch of children's books by author Robert Sanssouci, and one of them was the retelling of the story of Mulan. So the 2 projects on the table were Mulan, or a story of a Scottish folktale with a dragon. Luckily, at this meeting was animator Barry Cook, who happened to know a little bit about the role of dragons in Chinese mythology. Cook proposed to add a dragon to the story of Mulan and just kind of go with that. They threw around some other ideas on how to make this movie, which in retrospect would have been terrible. One of the ideas was to make Mulan kind of like a romantic comedy in the vein of Tootsie or Mrs. Doubtfire, which, no, thank you. Either way, with the inspiration of a bunch of industry veterans, cutting-edge animation, and a bomb musical number from Donny Osmond, we got Mulan, a movie that I obsessed over as a kid, and honestly, I haven't seen it in a while, so I think I'm gonna go do that. Back to you, Tristan.
Thank you, Scott. Now, audience, you should definitely check out NerdSync, but first you should probably like, share, subscribe, and write a comment pledging me your eternal adoration. Now, cinema's changed a tad since 1998. There actually was an epic version of Mulan that came out in China in 2009. In 2020, Disney is going to revisit Mulan as part of their live-action remakes of animated classics. There's also supposed to be yet another Mulan movie that Sony's putting out sometime in the next 10 years, so if you like the story of Mulan and you want to see it on the big screen, you're in for a good decade. You know, we're gonna keep mining this nostalgia for all it's worth until it's completely hollowed out. I mean, it's still gonna be alright. I hope. Anyways, Sai-chan.